vintage lenses, namely, as far as I'm concerned, the Canon FDs from the 70s. This is the 24mm f2, which is quite a rare lens. It's actually not even from the 70s, so I'm contradicting myself immediately. It's near the end of the FD life cycle. It's from the late 80s. But it's got that extra stop. There are not that many 24mm that go to f2, particularly, I mean, in the vintage era. But really, it's what I want to talk about is the conversion process and the companies I've used to convert these lenses and the experiences I've had. Now, the main guy I've used to convert all of my lenses, bar one, is a guy called the Lens Doctor, based up in Scotland. His kind of basic rate, I think the lens mount conversion and the D-click is about £180. Generally, he's going to want to service the lens because when he opens it up, he generally finds a problem because these lenses are from the 70s. So let's face it, they're going to have a few issues. He always adds a bit on top. Basically comes in about £250 for the full service. However, I would massively recommend him because he's a top professional. He's a real craftsman. He does a great job. Now, I searched the internet long and hard for a company who do FD to EF conversion in the UK. And believe me, there's not that many. There really isn't. I found 2 guys in the whole of the UK, at least, who have websites or make themselves known. I was toying with the idea of sending these lenses to the US to get converted, or ordering conversion kits and doing it myself, both of which seem to definitely ramp the costs up. Other than Ed Meeker, who has unfortunately closed his website, I didn't get the chance to order all of the kits that I wanted because he can basically provide a mount and the aperture arm for pretty much the entire FD range, but unfortunately he's closed for business at the moment. There's Simod lens as well in the US. I think I would have had to send the lens in, and I think you're still looking at $300-400, and that's not including import charges and packaging, transit costs. One lens that I did convert myself is the 55mm f1.2. Now, I actually did find a company online in the US called fd2ef.com. I think it's about $150, again, plus import costs to the UK. I think it ended up still costing me about $200. It didn't really save me any money. So I ordered this one, and again, it wasn't a quick process. I was hoping to speed the process up, but because it comes from the US, still took a month to arrive. So I did the conversion myself, declicked the aperture, took the little ball out. It's just a case of 6 or 7 screws, and it seems to be doing great. I've used it on many shoots. Works fine considering it's nearly a 50-year-old lens. Could probably do the service because there's probably some dust in there, but I'm just not confident enough to take it apart and get in there and clean the optics. The problem is, if you live in the UK, there's not many options to convert these lenses, but it's totally worth investing your time and a little bit of money because all in £500 for this lens from Japan, converted to modern EF. I mean, what modern lens for £500 can you get that comes anywhere near the aesthetic of this 1972, vintage glass? There's nothing like it. The same, I would say, for the 24mm. All the Canon FDs that I've got, there's something about the aesthetic of the glass and the coatings that really is different from the modern look. And I suppose that's what you want as a filmmaker. You want to try and look a bit different. You want to try and set yourself apart. So currently I own the 70mm f4, which I haven't used a lot. It comes in handy occasionally. F4 is quite slow. I used the 24mm f2. I've also got the f2.8, which I got first, and then I went overboard. I wanted like an extra stopper light. So for that extra stop, it cost me like £500 to buy the lens and get it converted. Worth it though, for the street cred, obviously. Now, of course, these are EF lenses. So for me to use the Blackmagic Cinema camera or the GH5S, which I'm shooting on now, the Metabone speed booster is obviously a key ingredient. There's also something really nice about hunting a lens down on eBay, particularly one that's come from Japan and a lens that has had an entire life behind it. You know, it's been in so many pairs of hands. There's something really interesting about that. But I think it's definitely really worth looking into as a different option to sort of try and set yourself apart as a modern day, you know, filmmaker. I think there's something about the coatings in the FD class that really do bring something unique to the look of your films.